23-year-old Angie Barlo may or may not have believed in ghosts, but she once sent her best friend of 11 years a text message meant as a joke. When Angie later disappeared and wasn't found for months, that message took on a heartbreaking meaning. For 8 months, the case saw no progress. What makes it especially frustrating is that some people believe they know exactly who was responsible for Angie's disappearance. Yet, they lack the proof to confirm it. So, who was responsible for what happened to Angie 8 years ago? Did that person truly escape justice? Let's take a closer look. Angie Barlo was born on August 21, 1993 in Denver, Colorado, to parents Stephen Barlo and Christina Kramer. She had 3 sisters, Wendy, Jessica, and Zarina, and shared a close bond with them as the eldest. Growing up, Angie was both protective and playful, balancing responsibility with a love for fun. Angie was always a little different. She was fierce, loyal, and deeply loving, shaped by her strong emotions. Her mother, Christina, described her as the stubborn one, especially when Angie set her mind on finishing something. Angie attended high school and earned her diploma from the Career Center. As she got older, she excelled in sports during high school. Angie embodied joy, the kind of person who loved discovering new things, stepping outside her comfort zone, and trying new experiences. As an adult, Angie and her best friend, Mona Jackson, moved from Indiana to Indianapolis and even got an apartment together. Mona said Angie felt more like family than a friend, and the two did almost everything side by side. It was obvious that Mona and Angie would support each other no matter what, especially in times of trouble, and Mona would later prove that loyalty. At this point, Angie wasn't sure what she wanted to do after high school. So, she took a job as a dancer at Club Rio on West 38th Street in Indianapolis. Although it was an unconventional choice, Angie genuinely enjoyed the work. She loved the artistic and expressive side of the job, and the pay was an added benefit. However, Christina, Angie's mother, was unhappy with her daughter's career choice. While she never tried to stop Angie from following her own path, she wished Angie had chosen something different. As Christina later said, she liked what she did, I didn't. And honestly, I don't think any parent would. No matter what, Angie felt safe. And she wouldn't have continued if she didn't. She viewed dancing as only a temporary plan, saving her money and considering leaving the job to pursue something more stable and higher paying in the future. Along with dancing at the club, Angie also worked private house parties, something she was already familiar with from past experience. Overall, Angie was a strong, independent woman who loved life and enjoyed finding new ways to express herself. No one ever imagined that she would one day vanish without a trace until October 2017. That month, a friend sent Angie a text message. She was going about her day when she received an offer for $500. A woman wanted to arrange a private dance as a birthday surprise for her husband. While it was an unusual gift for a married man, Angie didn't see it as a problem. She had done discreet private parties before, so the request wasn't entirely out of the ordinary. Still, both Angie and Mona noticed something odd. The woman never gave her name. Angie brushed it off, but Mona found it unsettling. Mona felt deeply uneasy and begged Angie not to take the job. Initially, Angie agreed and declined the offer, continuing on with her routine. However, the mysterious client kept calling back. Eventually, Angie felt pressured into saying yes. Although she was already doing well for herself, in a city like Indianapolis, a little extra money was always tempting. On top of that, Angie needed the money at the time to cover her bills. Eventually, she agreed to take the job and began getting ready. Not long after, the client texted her the apartment address along with the front door code. The party was scheduled to take place at the Landmark Apartments and Town Homes of Indianapolis, a location Angie wasn't familiar with. The client also instructed Angie to wear either black or red underwear. It was now October 26th, just 5 days before Halloween, and Angie was preparing for the gig. To be cautious, she texted Mona the address and door code. Whenever Angie worked private parties, she made a habit of letting someone close to her know where she was, ensuring that someone always knew her location. Once she was ready, Angie left the house and texted Mona saying, "Having a private party at this address just in case I go missing, LOL." At first glance, the message didn't seem alarming. It read like a joking exchange between close friends. Tragically, this was the last time Angie ever communicated with Mona. Angie also posted a photo on Snapchat around 11:45 p.m. After a few hours had passed, the photo showed Angie in a bathroom, apparently getting ready at the house where the party was taking place. She looked happy and excited. Angie didn't appear upset, frightened, or distressed in any way. She seemed ready to begin the party, but as the night passed, no one heard from her again. By sunrise, Angie still hadn't come home, and Mona had stayed up all night waiting for her. At the same time, Angie's mother, Christina, was growing increasingly worried. She repeatedly called, texted, and left voicemails, but there was no response. Angie also had a Yorkie named Pablo, and she never failed to return home after a gig to feed him and take him outside. When Christina went to Angie's apartment, it was empty, and Pablo was anxiously waiting for her. Angie was not the type to simply disappear, and her sudden absence deeply alarmed and saddened her family and friends. After hours passed with no word from Angie, Mona decided to go to the house where the party was supposed to be held. No one was there when Mona arrived. She rang the doorbell, but there was no answer, which immediately made her feel uneasy. Trusting her instincts and acting as a concerned friend, Mona climbed over the gate and unlocked the apartment door. Inside, she was met with a disturbing sight. Complete silence and a space that looked perfectly clean. It was unsettling, and Angie was nowhere to be found. Soon after, Angie's mother, Christina, went to the police to report that 23-year-old Angie Barlo was missing. Officers responded right away, recognizing that this behavior was completely out of character, especially since Christina emphasized that Angie would never leave her dog alone for so long without food or water. Police were told where Angie was last seen and went to the apartment where the party had supposedly taken place. Investigators immediately reviewed the CCTV footage, hoping it might reveal some clues, and it did show something notable. A camera positioned just outside the apartment captured Angie's car, a blue Pontiac G6, leaving the building around 3:30 a.m. on the morning of October 27. But that wasn't the only unusual detail. Another dark cold car appeared right behind Angie's, seemingly leaving the building at the same time. This raised even more concern for the police as the footage was blurry and the windows were heavily tinted, making it impossible to identify the drivers. Given these circumstances, investigators considered two possibilities. Either someone was following Angie or she had left the party voluntarily with someone else. Why hadn't Angie answered her phone? It seemed like she should have at least informed her family or Mona about her plans after the party. Even if she had made arrangements she thought were safe, her loved ones immediately sprang into action to find her. Friends and family combed the area, posted missing person signs, and tried to spread the word as widely as possible. The Barlow family also turned to social media, sharing their concern and hoping someone would come forward with information. Despite all these efforts, no concrete leads emerged. Meanwhile, the police focused on gathering information about the dark car that had been seen behind Angie's vehicle in the CCTV footage. Although the driver was not visible, the officers were able to read the license plate number. When they ran it through their system, the name that appeared was Raven Miller. On that same day, investigators also discovered that the mysterious client who had hired Angie for the party was in fact the same Raven Miller. This revelation added a crucial piece to the growing puzzle of Angie's disappearance. Who exactly was Raven? Angie knew her, even if the police did not at first. The two women had a tense history. Angie had previously been involved with a man named Baron McCullough, whom she met at the club where she worked as a dancer. Their relationship was brief and eventually ended, but it clearly left a mark. It became obvious that Raven held resentment toward Angie, especially since Angie had moved on and started dating Baron. What troubled Angie's friends even more was that Angie and Raven had never had any kind of friendship or meaningful interaction. They didn't speak and weren't close in any way. If Angie had even suspected that Raven or Baron had anything to do with orchestrating the party, she likely never would have agreed to go in the first place. Angie didn't know the phone number or the exact address for the party, and the client, likely Raven, had deliberately kept her name a secret. This secrecy suggested to the police that Raven may have been trying to conceal her identity from Angie, which was a chilling prospect. The invitation to the party, combined with the possibility that another person was involved that night, made the situation even more concerning. According to Mona, Angie would have left immediately if she had seen either Baron or Raven at the door. Yet, she went inside and even took cheerful photos of herself in the bathroom. Seemingly unaware of any danger, Angie showed no signs that she recognized anyone there or sensed any threat, which led investigators to focus on a grim possibility. Baron and Raven might have used someone else to lure Angie into the apartment, and once inside, she was no longer safe. With this new information coming to light, the police moved quickly to question both Baron and Raven, hoping to uncover the truth about what had happened to her. That night, Baron and Raven appeared calm when questioned, claiming that they had seen Angie at the party in their apartment. They insisted that she left afterward with an unknown man. Their account only deepened the investigators' confusion. Despite Raven's car being spotted following Angie's, the connection between Baron, Raven, and Angie's disappearance remained unclear. The officers still couldn't determine who had been driving either vehicle that night. 12 days after Angie vanished, her car was discovered empty. About 8 miles from the apartment where the party had taken place, detectives and Angie's family rushed to the scene, desperately searching for any clue that might lead them to her. But hope began to fade upon seeing the condition of the vehicle. Although her car had been found, it offered little information, and its state suggested that something terrible had occurred. The front of Angie's car was badly damaged with large dents that suggested it had been driven through a barbed wire fence. Additional dents marred the sides. One of the headlights was broken, and the interior was completely trashed. Christina was deeply worried. Angie had always been a careful and responsible driver, and she took pride in keeping her car clean and well maintained. The state of the vehicle made the situation feel even more alarming. The car was sent for DNA testing, and all items inside were collected and preserved as evidence. The police have not disclosed whether any of these items yielded useful information. Despite the discovery of the car, the search for Angie continued. Her family even offered a $5,000 reward for tips or concrete leads, hoping someone would come forward. But unfortunately, no new information surfaced, leaving her disappearance a haunting mystery. It must have been incredibly painful for Christina and Angie's sisters to endure such uncertainty. The worry of a missing daughter is a weight that never lifts, constantly hoping she will return safe, healthy, and unharmed, while the unknown gnaws at your mind and heart. Yet, as the days passed, the situation only grew more unsettling. For months had gone by with no trace of Angie, and the mystery of her disappearance deepened. Then, Christina received a call from the same number that had been used to contact Angie. When she answered, it was Raven Miller on the line. During the call, Raven spoke about the night Angie went missing in a way that was chilling and unsettling. When Christina asked for Details. Raven's response was deeply disturbing. Do you want me to share? Exactly what she said. She asked, what did that mean? Christina was left confused and terrified. Could it really imply that Angie was no longer alive? And why did Raven speak with such certainty about it? The situation became even more suspicious when Raven and Baron abruptly left Indianapolis and moved to Arizona, raising even more questions about their possible involvement. Yet, despite the growing doubts, there was still no concrete evidence to hold them accountable for Angie's disappearance, leaving her family and the investigators deeply frustrated. 7 long months passed after Angie vanished. Though her family clung to the hope of a miracle, the weight of uncertainty made it increasingly difficult to maintain that hope. It was an emotionally exhausting and heartbreaking weight. Then, at the 7-month mark, a development occurred. An arrest was made. While it wasn't directly tied to Angie's abduction, it was connected enough to offer a glimmer of progress in the ongoing investigation. It turned out that someone had made an $8,000 withdrawal. You might be wondering, what does this have to do with Angie directly? Nothing. But the account that was accessed belonged to Angie's grandmother. Someone had somehow gained information about her account and taken money from it, which immediately raised red flags for the police. The timing was suspicious. Just months after Angie's disappearance. Could it really be a coincidence that her grandmother's account was targeted? The authorities traced the transaction back to a woman named Michelle Brown. Her explanation for the withdrawal seemed questionable. Michelle claimed that she had chosen the account number by accident and insisted that she didn't know Angie's grandmother, but given the timing and circumstances, her story didn't sit right with investigators. 2. The police, it was far too convenient and suspicious to be believed at face value. Additionally, 3 more individuals, Andre Twilley, Mackenzie Bell, and Eric Newton, were arrested on suspicion of theft. While their arrests were unrelated to Angie's disappearance, police suspected that at least one of them might have played a role in luring Angie to Raven's party. However, investigators had to set that line of inquiry aside temporarily when they received a tip nearly a month after the incident. The tip came from an anonymous source who claimed to know where Angie could potentially be found. Both the police and Angie's family were filled with a mix of hope and apprehension. Christina held on to the belief that her daughter might still be alive. Following the tip, authorities discovered Angie in the backyard of a long-abandoned house, offering a glimmer of hope that she might be rescued. The abandoned house was located nearly 10 miles from where Angie had last been seen in the 5300 block of East 43rd Street on the northeast side of Indianapolis. Soon CSI teams and cadaver dogs arrived on the scene and the police braced themselves for what they might discover. As the dogs led investigators to a specific spot in the backyard, the team began to dig carefully. After only a few feet, they uncovered something horrifying. A woman's body had been buried in a shallow grave, and detectives were immediately struck with a chilling suspicion that it could be someone they knew. Although the remains were partially decomposed, some tattoos remained intact, providing potential clues for identifying the victim. It was at that moment that the police realized Christina's help would be crucial in identifying the body. When she received the terrifying phone call from the authorities, she initially clung to hope. But the mention of the coroner's office and the need to identify a body immediately crushed that hope. It was the kind of call that no parent ever wants to receive. Despite the dread, Christina went to the coroner's office the following day. Looking at the photographs and the remaining tattoos, Christina became certain that the body was her 23-year-old daughter, Angie. The realization hit her like a devastating blow. The image of her daughter in that tragic state is something Christina can never forget, haunting her every thought. Every time she closes her eyes, she is confronted with the grim reality. Her kind, strong, and independent daughter is gone. Angie's funeral was held in Muni, Indiana on July 2, 2017. With friends and family gathering to support the Barlo family as they said their final goodbyes. She was laid to rest and her family did everything they could to honor her memory. Christina took care to ensure that Angie's final moments before burial were perfect in every way. Though she was painfully aware that she would never see her daughter plan a wedding, spoil her grandchildren, celebrate birthdays, mark special occasions, or enjoy future victories, the funeral gave the Barlo family a chance to give Angie the love and care she had always deserved, even if she couldn't be there to experience it. Watching her family endure such immense pain is heartbreaking. They had already lost their eldest daughter, and now the cruel reality remained. The person or people responsible for taking Angie's life are still at large with justice yet to be served. Even though the police are fairly certain about who was responsible, cases like this are difficult to resolve because no one can be convicted without solid proof. Still, it's hard not to view Raven and Baron with suspicion. The timing of their actions after Angie disappeared, combined with the chilling conversation Raven had with Christina, seems far too coincidental. During that conversation, Raven asked Christina if she wanted to hear her daughter's last words, a question that to many feels like an admission of guilt. Yet, despite the suspicion, Raven has remained out of reach. 8 years have passed since Angie's disappearance, and no one has been formally charged or even publicly named as a suspect in the case. Meanwhile, Raven has moved on with her life and now goes by the stage name Donnie Drip. As a rapper, Donnie Drip released a song in January 2022 titled $F$. The lyrics sparked outrage and intrigue among the Barlo family and online communities. In the song, Raven raps, "Now I'm smoking on this Barlo. It was my choice to smoke them if I did." Many online sleuths and armchair detectives interpreted smoking on Barlo as a disturbing reference, suggesting that Raven could be mocking Angie's death. Whether the police are investigating the lyrics remains unclear, but the song's Content is undeniably unsettling. Deliberately mentioning Barlo in a track is a provocative and chilling choice. Angie's case has received widespread attention, especially in 2020 when podcasts began covering it. Inspired by what she read on Facebook, a podcaster took it upon herself to highlight Angie's story, keeping public awareness alive and ensuring that her disappearance would not be forgotten. This shows just how powerful social media can be in spreading awareness about cases like Angie's, helping the Barlo family keep her memory alive while they try to move forward with their lives. The hope remains that whoever is responsible for her death will be held accountable for their horrific actions. Angie's sisters continue to grieve deeply and think about her constantly. Her younger sister, Marama, still sleeps with a stuffed owl that Angie gave her, which she named Angie. It holds immense sentimental value as it was one of the last gifts Angie gave before her disappearance and tragic death. The Indianapolis police continue to follow up on leads in Angie's case. All anyone can do is hope for justice and closure, which her family so desperately deserves. If you found this case fascinating, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We post crime case videos every night. Until next time, stay sharp, stay vigilant.